Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Café con Giorgio. Today I have the honor, because it's an honor, to be sitting with Jairo Rodriguez. Jairo is the team leader for the Rodriguez group at KW Team Realt in Clifton. And not only he's a super awesome realtor, he does everything you can imagine in the community. This guy has a hand in it and he does it well. He's a veteran. He is the oncoming president of the Najar, which is like amazing. And he's involved with NAREP. He's involved with the community. I mean, whatever you think of Jairo or the perfect realtor in the community, this is your guy. So, Jairo, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, brother. I super appreciate what you're doing for the people, for the community. Definitely not the perfect realtor, but I appreciate the kind words, man.
Well, I feel that, most people feel that, you know, the realtor sometimes has the bad name that is just the person that opens the door and just shows the house, right? I think that most people think that the realtor should be the expert in the community and know exactly what that community is all about and introduce people to that community, especially people that are coming from other places.
Correct. So real
And
estate.
you're doing a good job at that.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Being a real estate agent, being a realtor is more than just that. What you mentioned. Many people don't know realtors on average. We have about 1.4 across the country. 70% of realtors volunteer in some shape, way, or form. So it's about being a part of the community and giving back. Definitely.
All day. And that's the thing, when you have the mentality of giving back and educating the community instead of, again, just making a transaction, opening the door and whatever it is, not only you do much service for the community, but your business is just completely different in mindset, and it's just completely different world. And people
You're right.
feel that.
You're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, little background on you. Were you born in America or you're an immigrant?
So I was actually born in America.
Okay.
I grew up in Hudson County, uh, in Union City. So my dad still lives there. My family's still out there, and now reside though in Woodland Park, not too far.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, you're my neighbor. Yeah.
yeah.
So you grew up in Union City. Okay. What part of Union City?
So like downtown, so Fifth Street and Palisade.
Okay. I lived on 15th Street for a few years. I had a building there.
Look at that, man! Small
Yeah,
world.
yeah, man. Union City is like you don't realize it, but it's a big city.
It is. Well, it's small as far as like the size of the actual city,
Right,
but
right,
the
but the people.
population,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's the highest densely populated city in the entire country.
Isn't it insane? Like it doesn't make sense, right? Because
It
think
is.
about it. It's like it's more dense than New York City.
Yeah, the density, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, like when I came from Italy to Patterson, right? And Patterson, New Jersey, I felt there was a plethora of different people. Like,
Mhm.
whatever culture you could think of, Patterson has one of them, at least
Mhm.
one. Union City is not far from that.
So Patterson, you have a lot of that like at all times. Union City, you've had very like errors where we had a very high Cuban population, 80s, 90s, and then the Germans before that, Italians, a lot of Dominicans, a lot of Latin Americans, Central America. And yeah, it's growing to that where it's everything at one time now. So you're right, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So came to you were born in Union City. Your family came from where?
Dominican Republic.
Okay, DR. All right. Do you feel that culture, being Dominican is part of your everyday life growing
Yeah,
up or now?
absolutely. I think all of us, anybody that has family from anywhere else, you just have a completely different perspective, and whatever your parents instill in you, I mean, that kind of you grow up that way, and it kind of comes out naturally. So whatever culture, yeah, you're used to, you definitely grow into that and exemplify that when you get older.
So I'm gonna go a little personal again. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, right? And this is sharing my experience and see if the experience is similar to that. Others is similar to mine. I was born in Peru, and
Okay.
I moved to Italy when I was a kid. I was 5 years old. Manuel was two, so 5 and 2, and grew up in Italy, and I felt Italian, right? Because that was only thing I knew. My family was not really involved. The Peruvians, there were not many, even though now there's more.
Mhm.
Grew up Italian, and I consider myself Italian at heart because that's how I grew up.
That's
When
it.
I
Yeah.
moved to Patterson, was a big cultural shock, and of course you couldn't experience that because you were born here. But the cultural shock, because for coming from Italy to a country that I didn't speak English or Spanish was tough,
Mhm.
right? But the community that I lived in, the Peruvian community, was an immigrant community, hard workers, factory workers, and the people around me, and the students that I went to school with, all share the same, um, um, I guess, view of the world, that you had to work hard to get to a certain, position, but not many of them were able to make the transition, right?
Mhm.
They got stuck many times making that leap.
Got
Did
it.
you feel that, growing up in Union City in a Dominican household, did you feel that was your view of the world at the time when you were growing up?
So just to get some clarity, so the view is that you have to work, you have to hustle, you have to do what you need to do to succeed. Correct?
Correct.
So yeah, 100%. My father, you're getting personal, which is okay. My father raised me from the time I was 2 years old. My mother, they separated, they split up. I now have a relationship with her. However, growing up, it was difficult. So seeing what my dad went through, that's exactly what I believe. I have to do the same thing or even more to be able to, just survive, because that's what it was. It was just surviving at that time. And then different perspective, because you mentioned, coming from another country, and it happens to be even, Italy, which isn't even where you were necessarily born. But I guess I had it a little bit easier. I grew up English as a second language. I took ESL for like 2 years before I finally, um, I guess took English only classes.
Yeah.
My family, my parents both only speak Spanish. But what I was getting at is that in Union City at the time, how I mentioned you had the generational
Yep.
time where different ethnicities were coming in. There were a lot of Dominicans at that time, so it was like that was just a natural environment, and it just kind of naturally worked out that way. So I guess
Right.
I lucked out in that aspect.
Yeah, for me actually was, and two things I'm going to touch on this. Coming to Patterson, New Jersey, and going to Eastside High School, right?
Mhm.
The community was, African Americans,
Mhm.
Dominicans, and a couple of Puerto Ricans here and there spread, but it was mostly, black and Dominicans. And
Mhm.
me and Manuel were the only two white kids in the school that, by the way, did not speak any language, but we immediately assimilated with everybody, and I think that in a way that's what made us like culturally aware, is the fact that we were able to just like mingle with everybody regardless of who they were, without
Mhm.
looking at color, race, sex, and language, right? And Dominicans mostly, like, I started dating Dominican girls like from like that
Right.
merengue, or they got me like boom, right? And then the bachata, whatever. But started eating mango every day. But big Dominican community in Patterson, just like in Union City at the time. But what you touched, what made me thinking is, you were talking about, your parents, a lot of the interviews that I've done, and people that I'm meeting, and my life included, my mom, we moved to America, and my mom was a single mom, right, with three kids,
Mhm.
and I saw her, working at the factory, making minimum wage, but no matter what, we always had food at our table, even though times were tough. Your spectrum is different. In your end, it was your dad, right?
Mhm.
Which is now very like, common culturally, period, in a
Right.
Hispanic, right? That the father is the one that, takes it and whatever. Usually, fathers are the ones that are going out, they're partying, whatever. And then, so did that give you that push of being like the perfect dad, or wanted to be the best dad for your kids?
Yeah, 100%, man. Now that I'm a father, I have a 2-year-old myself, right? I see things and what he sacrificed and why he did it. I completely understand it. Where when I was 17, 18, it was like, you think you know everything, and I would get upset at certain things, but I completely get it now.
Dude, we were just talking about this yesterday with my sister, right? My mom kicked me out when I was 17.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
came here when I was 16, and I saw her struggle. I did, and I started working. I was working on an ice cream shop. I started doing income taxes to just bring more money, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, I spoke English, and I was pretty good at talking. I was making like $700 a week, right? As
Mhm.
a 17-year-old kid, where she was making like $120 a week working at a factory. So I was giving her all my money because I believed in, we were a household, right? But then
Yeah.
I wanted to, like, like, hey, let me go out with the girls, whatever. She's like, nah, nah, nah. So then, I rebelled, right? And she kicked me out.
Yeah.
I resent her for many years, even though I always helped her, whatever they needed, I resent to her. I joined the army, became a business person, did a lot of things to show her that I could be my own man, right? Today, as I look at it, and as you grow, you mature, you become like, in this past 5 years, really, I've grown a lot personally. And after my son was born 3 years ago, even more, right? That's when you realize, I'm like, oh, my mom was like a fucking like, dude, she did all this. Like,
Yeah.
and today we look at it, you're like, damn, like, what a fucking asshole I was, like to her for no reason, right?
The perspective. I mean, it happens. We go through the different developmental stages throughout our life, and we just don't know what we don't know.
You're right. Again, everybody makes mistakes, and part of the things that maybe occur, maybe to you, to us, lack of education, lack of the situation, for them is something new. Their life was completely turned upside down, right? So you don't know what they were going through or the struggles at that time. Um, um, so that's the only way that they could react, and there's no right or wrong. It's just what happened, right?
Yeah.
So do you bring that today to your life? You say you're trying to be the best that you can to your baby. Do you feel that you bring that to your business as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know, and this goes back. I guess we can touch on to. Um, I always had some type of like service passion to serve others, but the military exemplified that tenfold. When I went in and really realized what it means to serve and what kind of impact that makes to people, yeah, I've carried that over in real estate the same way. You're impacting so many people and you're helping so many people and you're helping your community and you're improving economically and being a part of that is extremely rewarding. So yeah, I still bring in those same values for sure.
So you joined the Air Force.
I did.
You joined the Air Force right out of high school, a few years
No,
later.
I was a little older, so about 6, 7 years after.
Okay. Did you go to college before you joined, or what were you doing?
I did a technical school. I was actually a diesel mechanic for 8 years,
Okay.
woman and everything. So I went to trade school to become a mechanic.
Yep.
Uh, did that. 9/11 kind of happened, so I knew I always wanted to join. Um, it was just at the time I had a job. Same thing, kind of like you. You wanted to go out, have fun, have a good time, and then the right time finally came, and I said I have to do it. I want to do it, and I did it, and I don't regret it, as I'm sure you
Yeah.
did it.
I feel that and a lot of people think that I'm crazy for this. I feel that the United States needs to kind of like enforce some type of service for every young man and woman, right? Like it used to happen back in the day in other countries, like in Italy. I know people you had to,
Yeah.
before it all became a volunteer force, 2 years of either military service or community service, because that time that I spent in the army, my 8 years, were the best time of maturity. I matured the fastest while I spent 8 years in the military, and I brought that leadership traits that the military taught me into my real life and to my business.
Yeah. Discipline is the key for that.
Discipline, I don't have that much anymore, man. I got fat now. Whatever. So discipline, you know, I'm disciplined when it comes to achieving the goal and the mission. But and actually, even personally, and I think that that's one of the bad things that I got from the army, which was mission first always, right? Take care
Hmm.
of your take care of your team always, and you always come last. And I
Hmm.
feel that today I still do that, right? And I always put myself last before everybody else.
You're 100% correct. That's definitely that military like camaraderie that many people don't understand is I got your back, and you're always going to have your back. And then you expect somebody else to get your back. You're not really worried about yourself.
And but sometimes you don't have it. And in the army you do, in the military you do. Always, you're always gonna have somebody to when you are now in the world, you know, and you have that mentality, that you'll take care of everybody because that's the way you are. Sometimes you don't have that person, taking care of you, and you just
And
carry
it's a
the
good
load.
one.
right? I was
Yes,
yesterday. I had this interview with this new team that came out for Christie's, and the girl, one of the girls on the team, told me, just like, don't be kind to yourself. That was the word that hit me the most, man. And I was like, oh fuck, man. Like that's one thing that I haven't been in a long time. I just keep being really mean to myself. Like, you know, we just need to be kind to ourselves.
And it's not. Did you join right away when you were 18 as well?
I did not.
Okay. Okay.
And then actually, I saw my first job. So I was doing the ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Gelati's ice cream in Patterson.
Yes.
Okay, so I used to work at Gelati's, and then I started doing taxes for Malky Tax, which is like I mean, again, probably because he's very involved with the community, but it was Malky Tax. His father at the time, he was still here before he retired, and he was hiring like high school students part time to do taxes.
Got it.
And I was always a numbers guy or business, I don't know, but I picked it up right away, man. Like and next thing I was like running one of their offices in Passaic.
Nice.
So I was making money, like 17 years old, $600 a week cash because he was paying me cash illegally, right? But so I was giving mom all this money. She kicked me out, and I was still in high school. I hadn't even graduated yet. So I was like, all right. I mean, I was making money, so it didn't matter. I got a place, I got an apartment, and whatnot. I did continue doing gelatis, but then one of my friends at the time, he was a realtor. He's still a realtor today. He's like, "You'll be an awesome realtor." I'm like, "Really?" You think so? He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So he brought me over to his broker, and the broker signed me up to do the class at Kovats, right?
Oh.
The school, the real estate school. So I got my license, and while I was getting my license, I started interviewing with different brokerages, even though this guy has sponsored me. And one guy, the guy across the street from the office, he had their own office called Gold Team Realty. He's like, "Don't go there. They're old school. They're losers. Come work with me. I'll teach you the ropes." I was like, "Bet." So I didn't go to the guy that paid me. I went to Gold Team Realty, and I did real estate from pretty much I graduated because I had to have a high school degree, the high school diploma. So I
Yeah.
graduated high school, and I started doing real estate. I got my license like right after that. So from '01 to '03, I did real estate.
Okay.
Uh, Knocking on doors. We were doing a lot of pre-foreclosures back then. They weren't sexy.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't normal, but it was a way
Mm-hmm.
for us to get listings, was to do pre-foreclosures. And I wasn't even listing the properties. I was just being the guy doing it in the middle, and I was getting a piece of the commission. And next thing I know, I'm making like $20,000-$30,000 a month. Like I'm a kid. Everybody thought I was selling drugs. I'm like, I'm a kid. My mom is not even. Back then, I think she was making like $19,000 a year. I was making that in a month, right? So, of course, my head, you
Yeah.
know, you're 18 years old, getting all this money, started getting in trouble, started doing stupid shit, partying, drugs, and all of that. And then when we invaded Iraq, I felt that I had to join.
Mm-hmm.
September 11 hit me, and I was feeling that I had to go. So I enlisted in 2003,
Got it.
and yeah, I mean, that was. I always thought the military was something that I wanted to do. It was always, I was JROTC in high school. I was doing ROTC in college, but it was just a class, it was not, but then I just enlisted and I
Did it?
left. Yeah. And when I went in, the recruiter kicked me out the first day. The station commander, another recruiter, the recruiter wanted me, he's like, oh,
They're always going for you.
yeah. He's like, oh, it's a new guy. The station commander came out because I was being like a rough, tough guy. I thought I was a mobster. I swear to God, you see pictures, my hair was slicked back in a ponytail, all
Yeah.
black. I thought I was a gangster, and I'm telling the recruiter how I wanted to go and kill terrorists and shoot him in the head, like stupid, crazy stuff like that. The recruiter's like, yeah, yeah. He showed me videos of like things blowing up, like he's pumping me up. Special forces. I wasn't even a citizen, so I couldn't even do it. And then the assistant commander comes out and kicks me out. He's like, get the fuck out of my office. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck out of my office. And I was like, dude, you want people like me. like to kill people that are willing to just go and kill people. He's like, I don't want, if I ever have to have any person in my army, I wouldn't want a guy like you. You're scum. Kick me out. I was like, what the fuck? So I thought I was gangster. He limps. He has a limp. So when I left, I'm like, if I see you in the street, I'll break your other leg. It's me. Right? And kick me out. I came back like a few months later because my buddy got arrested for like possession and they got him for a bunch of stuff. So then I got scared and I went back, like, hey man, listen, do of me whatever you want. Like, I want to join. I'm here to listen. Do with me whatever you want. So he's like, are you sure you can do this? I mean, you're gonna go from like doing all this and getting all this money to like making literally like $1,000 a month, bro. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I'll be good. I'll be good. I already come to America with, and been through the struggle. I'll be good. It was tough, right? But very big, impact. Like getting slapped in the face twice. Coming to America was a big slap in the face, and then going to basic training from having all this shit to just like having nothing, and seeing people that had even less than you. You know what I mean? Big slap in the face, and made me appreciate shit more.
Value, that you know what the value is in having those things, and that's exactly what the military does. They're going to break you down to bare, back to the basics, back to the beginning.
Yeah, and that's again, I feel that more people need that. More people need that, like especially in today's like kids, man, today's society.
The humility and the humbleness.
Yeah, I feel that we're really growing up. America's become too soft, and we don't realize that we're lucky, man, and we should be grateful for being able to have a country like this. Think about it. With all this madness that is going on right now, we are the only country in the world that cannot force people to stay inside because it's against our rights. And people are bitching about it. I'm like, guy, like, don't get me wrong. I've been going to the office, I have. But in other countries, I wouldn't even had the chance to walk out of my door.
No way. Well, I think it was in the Philippines where the president gave authority to the police. If they see anybody outside, they can shoot them.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, think about it. Think about it. I have friends in Italy. My family, I still have my stepdad in Italy, right? Friends. They're only allowed to leave once a week, one member of the family to go food shopping. That's it. Still today, even though the numbers have dropped and all this stuff, they've already been shut down for like 3 months almost.
And to add on to that, so I believe, I'm not 100% certain about Italy. I know in the Philippines, same thing. Only one person. You got like a quarantine pass that you can go out for essentials. And on your way from your house to wherever you're going, to whatever store you're going, you're more than likely going to get stopped about twice at checkpoints to make sure you have that ID, that pass, and that you're actually out for essential things. So
think about it. And here, like, you're crazy. You're locking me out of my house. You're nuts.
I can't go outside for a run. What?
Yeah, you're gonna go outside for a run. I'm like, guy, there's like virus hitting you in the face while you're running. I'm like, nah, not me. And I don't know if you follow me or not, but like last week, I had the unfortunate event that one of my clients called me because she had nobody else to call. Her husband was in ICU. He's no longer in the ICU, but he had gotten into the ICU. Went to the hospital and they put him in ICU immediately. Like, because he was like, they don't even know how he was still, surviving and breathing. But again, immigrant worker, most people, they just keep pushing. They don't even know they're sick, right? They put him in ICU, and the wife was like, I have nobody to like go and feed my children. I have no friends. I have nobody. I don't even know the neighbor's, phone number. Can you please help? And that was like shit. Like, there's no, like, this is happening all the time. And she called me, right? Before that, I was like guy saying, we should open the economy. We should be out working. Who cares? 1% of the community. But more and more, like I'm realizing this affecting a lot of people really, really deep, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't
100%.
see the seriousness of it yet.
Not no, we're still not at the peak.
No.
We're still not at the peak, yeah. And by the way, so thank you I mean, for them to, that speaks volumes for them to be able to reach out to you and have that trust and confidence in you. Thank you for doing that, man. I know you do a lot for the community, so thank you, man.
The community's done a lot for me, and that's the thing. I feel that, in this, as the time goes by, and I feel that as I'm growing, to me it's more than just a transaction and making money, but it's more than that. I feel like we need to do a lot more for the community and impact, and at the end of the day, we're always going to be able to make money, man.
That's
Think
it.
about it yourself, diesel mechanic, military veteran. I mean, what did you do when you were in the Air Force? What was your job?
The title is Airborne Operations Specialist.
Airborne operations specialist. So you're working on airplanes.
No, I
What were you doing?
on planes, flying at, jumping out of planes, doing different.
Oh wait, so you're straight up like
I
like
was out.
hardcore. Like you're the Air Force infantry.
I wouldn't necessarily call that because Air Force doesn't technically have like an infantry, but
But kind of.
I was out there supporting, doing different things. Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So me, when I enlisted, I was a fueler. I used to refuel helicopter vehicles, right?
Oh,
So I can go and work at a gas station if I need to. Like
yeah.
we're always, what I'm trying to say is that we're always gonna have a fallback.
Yeah.
Some people, unfortunately, they can't, right? And so I feel that, hey, I know I'm always, no matter what, I'm always gonna have a fallback. Like I'm not never gonna struggle to be able to eat, or, whatever. But some people, unfortunately, do. So, and as real estate agents, as community leaders, I feel that it's our duty to bring more than just have people be a transaction. We should be like the center where they can come, and no matter what, they know that we're always going to be there and have an answer for them.
Correct. Correct. Again, going back to being a member of the community is more than just one thing. And then you had mentioned earlier about the community gave so much to me, so that's why you give back. Growing up, my father used to always tell me the Kennedy quote, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. So that's stuck with me forever. It's still to this day. I'm grateful for that, to be able to have that opportunity to serve in some type of capacity.
You feel that that's one of the reasons why you enlisted?
I wouldn't say that. I always wanted to. I wouldn't say that was the reason why.
So you came out, after you did your tour of duty. How many years did you end up doing?
I did 4 years active duty, and then I did a couple years after that as a private contract.
Reservist. Oh, private contract. Okay.
Mhm.
So you did 4 years active duty, private contracting, and what got you into real estate?
I kind of always had an interest in real estate, and the biggest thing. So to backtrack, and you started from the beginning, right? If seeing what my father had to go through, that made me kind of want to be the best father that I wanted to be. So in the military, I was away a lot. I was constantly away, and I knew that I wanted to start a family. So that's kind of what kind of got me out of the military, was settling down and starting a family. Um, Once I started the family, then the focus shifts a little bit, right? So then it's that. But you initially said the question was what got me to go in, was it? I'm sorry.
What got you into real estate?
Into real estate. Sorry, the flexibility. That's what it was. So family, I knew I wanted to get a family, and then knowing that I had the flexibility, and obviously depending on what I put into it, I'll get back into it. Knowing that I had that control, I know that I would, I'd be okay. I'd be okay in real estate, and I'd still be able to be the father that I want to be. So the full circle. That's what I was going at.
Yeah. Exactly, full circle. So the possibility of, again, be your own boss, right? And you deciding how successful your business, can be,
Correct.
right? There's a lot of people that just do enough to survive. People that strive to be the best, right? Not everybody ends up, wants to even build a team because there's more responsibilities, right?
Correct. Correct.
So I understand that, especially the flexibility portion of it. You know,
Mhm.
um, I got back into this business because that's the only thing I knew. And I tried all of it. I mean, I tried it all. It's the only thing I knew.
I want to say the caveat to that is that although you have all that flexibility, I end up working a lot more now than I ever did in the past.
That's
So,
true.
but you
But
can
again,
control it. That's the difference.
and that's the thing. When you are again, whenever you have your own business, you always end up working more than anybody else,
Right.
right? But like you said, you have the flexibility of like shifting. Um, and I feel that in a way, people that work the 9 to 5, they have the regular jobs or whatever, and they come home at 5, they still have ability to do a lot more,
Yes.
you know, and a lot of them do, right? I mean, again, growing up in an immigrant family, a lot of people that are new around me, they had 2 jobs.
Hmm.
Again, not because they wanted to, for necessity, right? Which is the thing, that's necessity. Then you have people that, again, in our community, they have the 9 to 5s. They don't need to work more, and they conform. And I feel that that's, now you have the person that is busting their asses because they need to, the ones that are conforming, and now there's no right or wrong, but I feel that that's what's making America like a little bit like, the struggle, and the newer generation, like our generation and younger, they're stuck in that, and they're now pushing to that, you know, to be better. They're just like conforming.
And it goes down to like not knowing. Again, not knowing what you don't know. Financial literacy is a major problem in our communities.
A
Major,
thousand
major.
percent.
And if you know, hey, if you spend if you work 9 to 5 and you spend from 5 to let's say 7, 2 hours a day, you can start a little business, and then that'll, grow to the point where you won't have to keep that other job. And
Yeah.
learning how to save and learning how to, invest and learning how to, put things aside for emergencies and things like that.
So you know Oscar Nunez, right?
Yeah.
KW. Okay.
Yeah.
So Oscar is young,
Hmm.
and he started this 3 years ago,
Hmm.
right? Knocking doors. And when I met him, I told him, I was like, I feel his energy, just his energy, and again the way that he runs his business, very similar to how it was when I was younger and I started doing this, right? So very successful agent, and big. He's starting to get involved now in the community because he realized when he first started, he said, "Hey, I was looking for the money.
Right.
Now I don't." And the moment that you make that switch and you don't make it for the money anymore, not only business is easier, you know, you just gotta start seeing the business grows faster because now your focus is different.
Completely
And
different.
when
People
he
see
started,
that.
he's like, I started, and everybody's telling me, "Oh, I want to make $100,000 a year." All
Hmm.
his friends, all his family, that was their goal, $100,000 a year. You know, and then he's like, when I realized that $100,000 a year, you're poor, in America today, like I realized I'm like, hey, this is not about the money. This is about, being out there for my community, and the
Correct.
money will come.
People see that. People see when you're doing it for specific, agendas. If you're doing it just for money, people will notice that. At the end of the day, you're gonna start off, yeah, you're gonna do it for money because it's new and that's a necessity in the beginning.
Of
And then
course.
that the natural transition is okay. Let's focus on what is it that I really want to accomplish by doing whatever you're doing, whether it's real estate, whether it's mortgages, whether it's whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
making that the focus.
Even selling tacos, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, listen, I'm opening a taco shop because I need to eat. That I make the best tacos, and if you're not making about just making, selling more tacos because of making the X $1,000 a day,
Mhm.
or if you make it because you want to be the best tacos in New Jersey, that's very different.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you knew, but I had a gelato company.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
So in Italy, my dad actually, my stepdad, he opened a gelato shop right when we were kids. So I
Okay.
started like trying to be cool with him. I started going there and making ice cream and gelato, right? So that's when I was a kid. That's what I did. I was working in the shop and making the product. And when I came to the States, gelatis was like easy because I knew the business. And you know, um, when I got out of the army, I was a recruiter for my last 3 years in the army. I was a recruiter. So
All right.
I was back in New Jersey. I was back in Woodland Park. And that office on McBride Ave, I opened that office on McBride Ave, right?
Did you? Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So, and I was actually, and then I became the station commander there. But anyway, the my ex wanted me out, right? She's like, oh, we can now, like you said, build a family, blah blah blah, because
Mhm.
every 3 years you have to move. And I was up to my third year, and I knew I had to go somewhere. She was working in the city. She's like, you have to get out. So I was like, all right, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm like, I couldn't do real estate because I was 2008, 2009. Market was trash.
Mhm.
Like I can do real estate. That's the only thing I know what to do. What am I gonna do? So I opened a gelato shop in North Arlington, and we were lucky enough that again I make now the best gelato there is in America. Proof be told, the kid that I mentor today, he's the number one gelato chef in America.
There you go.
So, and he owns like 3 stores now. He's pretty awesome. He's an awesome kid. But you know, um, when I started making the gelato, it was all about making the best gelato, right?
Mhm.
And we were struggling, man, because I was making the best gelato there could be. People didn't care. The economy was bad. They didn't care it was the best gelato. Like they wanted, they didn't have money. They wanted, cheap things and whatever. And everybody used to tell me like, hey, just, make it cheaper, make it whatever. I'm like, nah, dude, I want to make the best gelato. Like, I'm not going to go and cut corners to make fucking just make money. So the shop closed because I couldn't do it. You were making no money. So I had to close down the store. And some people will see it as a failure, but I saw it as a transition, because we transitioned to a factory only where we were making gelato for restaurants and hotels.
Oh.
And Whole Foods picked it up, and they asked me if I could make it in pints. So, I was like, I don't know, it's so hard. And everybody, all my friends, and the guy that owns Gelatis was like, it's impossible. You will never make it, la, la, la. Everybody will do it. If it's so easy, everybody will do it. So I was like, dude, I bet you this is so easy that anybody can do it. And it was, like I had to go really to the state and apply. There's a law that if you make less than 100 units per SKU, per flavor,
Yeah.
you don't need to go through FDA testing or anything like that. Once it reaches that level, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, like how many flavors, you get in a row? They're like 7. I'm like, okay, so I can do seasonally 100,000 units per season. So every 3 months, we're gonna change the flavors. So we
Ah.
never need to go
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
FDA until we become huge, whatever. Sure, but like I don't need to. I think my math. I'm like, okay, 100,000 per units, and we were making like $2.85 per unit. I'm like, per every
Profit.
three profit. I'm like every 3 months. I can do 1 point something million dollars, you know what I mean? And then just switch and switch and
Mhm.
switch, you know what I mean? Like, and still make the best gelato that is out there.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and like everything by hand, bro. Like we were hand packing everything. It was a
Wow. Yeah.
tough year and a half, but we
You
did
had
it.
to finish. That was your goal. You wanted to be the best gelato. And
The
then.
best out of it, man, and we did it, and we got, like Food Network, Food and Wine magazine, like, if you Google Giorgio, like we're out there, right? But like I did not compromise, man. That was my goal, and did not compromise.
That's
Even
it.
though money sometimes was tight because the vendors did not pay you, and we didn't have milk and whatever. I always figured it out, right?
Mhm.
Until we
Mhm.
sold off, But we always figured it out. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna compromise my views and my way just to make a quick buck. There's
Mhm.
no need for that.
Yeah.
And I think that if a lot of more of us, especially in our industry in real estate, don't do that and continue just like doing what's best for the community, we can make such a big impact in real estate, period. And little by little, the ones that are not doing that, they will just get, run off.
Yeah. It's sad. And yeah, I love what you're saying, man. It's pretty much know what your core values are, stick to them, and then keep that integrity at all times.
And be nice to each other. Like I
Mhm.
see a lot of like agents, even loan officers, just being mean to each other for no reason. When like, hey, everybody struggles, everybody's going through the same things, man. Like just be nice to each other and take care of the client.
That's it. That's it. Work at the end of the day, you have to work together at some point. So what's the reasoning behind having to be either negative or speaking bad towards others? That
Absolutely.
yeah, that
You'll
makes
always end up, there's always going to be, a situation where you're gonna end up having to work with that person
Hmm.
or see them or whatever. So there's no
Yeah.
need to, you know, to be mean to each other. You know,
Not, not necessary.
not necessary. And again, it's funny because, when I met you, your energy was always like, when people first see you, they feel that you're like this like serious guy and whatever. But and they start talking to you, they start feeling your energy. You're centered. You're very centered. I don't know if that was the Air Force or you just you period. But I feel that you bring people like down, you center them, and your energy that comes, is very positive, man, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I think I've always kind of had that, and I get that from my dad, I believe. Um, so thank you.
So if you had one thought, one thing that you could tell uh, young Jairo or any young men and women out there that are going through some tough times, or they're just trying to figure out what's next, what to do, or they just they just need positive vibes, man. But what would you say to them?
I'm gonna break that into two things because you the way you worded it, it made me think of two things. So one, in these times, especially with what we're going through, the entire world, not just your city, not just your county, not just your state, not just your country, the entire world is going through a difficult time right now. Um, and you're gonna see, as you mentioned, a lot of people are either posting things on social media or saying things that are negative. Just focus on the positive, like you mentioned. Focus on the positive. Think about that time, maybe in a month, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe in more than a few months, but just keep in your mind that time that you're going to be able to hug and kiss your parents, your whoever doesn't live in your house, and embed that picture in your head. And every day when you have that negative thought, think about that and remember that, right? Because then it completely changes your spirit, your energy, and it's okay to have that negative energy. Give it that, what I call, give it a 5 minute, give it the 5 minute funeral. Have that time where you have to feel the emotion and then bring yourself back to that positivity.
Absolutely.
One. Second piece was, what would I tell like my younger self, or what would I speak to younger people? I'll say, and we both kind of mentioned it earlier, 16 teens, uh, early adult life, we always think that we know it all. We don't. There's a lot of people, you can start with your parents. There's a lot of people that are either where you want to be or somebody that you admire. Reach out to them. Everybody out there is willing to speak and help if you let them know that you need help. Um, you don't know it all. We don't. We To this day we still don't know it all. Always reach out to other people. People are always there to support you. I'm sure Giorgio's here for you. I'm here for you. I'm always open for quick call, chat, talk, or anything like that. So yeah, let people know if you need any type of support or advice. Mentors
That's
or
true.
people.
That's really good points, man. So people can find you on social media.
Social media, yeah. My
What
personal,
what is your tag on Instagram?
my IG is J underscore Rodriguez 0310,
Okay,
and
perfect.
that's my personal one. Facebook is my name, Jairo Rodriguez. Uh,
Fantastic.
yeah, I'm always open to help. I mean, Giorgio, I think
Yeah,
I'm very friendly.
you are, man. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time, man, and through all these hard times, again, keeping positive, which is what we definitely need to do, man. And I appreciate it. And thanks for your energy, man, and thanks for being who you are, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for what you're doing. Letting people get on and get to know you a little better. I appreciate this time because I learned a lot more about you than I already knew. So thank you.
All
And
right,
thank
man,
you
we're
for
good.
getting that Educasa group because I know that's going to be something that's going to blow up, man. I'm super thankful for you, man, to have this relationship with you as well.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Take it easy, brother.
Ciao.